tutor and a teacher. I've been a professor, a college professor, and then I worked at the radio station for a long time. And now I've been at Centrotherm now since I feel like I was a wee lad, and now I'm like a grizzled old veteran here, moving up the chain at Centrotherm. As I started as like little marketing like intern almost, and then I did a bunch of sales, and then I was marketing and sales, and now I'm the marketing and communications manager. Definitely is my first HVAC anything. I will never forget my interview at Centrotherm with a friend of mine named Jim. He asked me, easy question, what kind of water heater do I have in my house? And I had no idea.
Hola, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable HVACR podcast. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, like, comment, all that good stuff. If you guys are listening to this on the audio podcast, wherever you listen to it, please leave a review, get this show out to more people. And if you guys are watching and listening, I truly appreciate it. We would not be here without you. Now, on that point, the first sponsor of the podcast is VisaLogix. The future of remote support is here now. With VisaLogix Tether It Now, you can actually see what the other person is seeing. If you've ever had an issue where you're trying to help somebody over the phone, whether it's a tech of yours or a customer, we try to avoid a lot of nuisance calls, right? And you're trying to explain something over the phone, they don't understand you, you end up having to go there in person, and it might be something like really dumb. With Tether It Now, you can actually take these video calls, no matter if they're on iPhone, Android, whatever device, because you send a link that they click on and it starts or initiates a video call. And then with their technology, you're able to take pictures, draw on the screen, tell them exactly where to look for this or that, or point to things, circle things, and show them exactly what you're talking about. Or you can actually see what they issues I have. So with that, you can actually guide your tech through a call, or you can actually tell the customer, let me see your breaker. Is it tripped? Is it off? Where's the power button? Is it plugged in? All these little things that you could avoid, because like a company like us, we're a little too busy. We could be doing other calls versus going to turn a breaker back on for somebody. That happens quite a bit often. So if you guys want to learn more on VisaLogix Tether It Now, visit visalogix.com/HVAC. And the next sponsor is my favorite CRM, Jobber. Now with Jobber, we can do professional invoicing and quoting, at its base, but it has so many more features. You can schedule, which we use for reoccurring maintenance. So every 6 months, this thing will remind the customer. There's so much more you can do to message customers, set up reminders, set up scheduling. You can do more with checking in and out. You have price lists. You have tons and tons of features. If you guys need help organizing your business and helping it run smoother, it's been night and day for us. We came from paper invoices. I looked at or into other softwares, and there's a lot of complaints on other ones. And one of the big ones is affordability. Now with Jobber, they have really great prices. I promise you, they have something for anybody starting and needs just the basics. And then as you grow, you can get into these much bigger plans, and it grows with your business. So if you guys are interested in looking more professional, being more organized, it helps me get these invoices and billing out much quicker. In turn, we get paid quicker. So if you guys are interested, I can get you a free trial and discount if you go to getjobber.com/reliable HVACR. And another sponsor of the channel now is Vito. Vito Pro Pack, hands down, my favorite tool bags. Now, you guys have seen me rock a whole bunch of Vito bags, and I have nothing but good things to say. If you ever have any issues with them, they do have a 5-year warranty, but the quality is there. You're going to hear me say that a lot about Vito Pro Pack, is the quality, the different kinds of bags, and the thought process that goes into each of these bags now that I've seen how they design them and the stuff they're thinking of putting out, all the new stuff that comes out. Like they really want to cover every aspect or every need of any technician across many different skill trades. Whether you're a tech that carries a laptop, you need a lot of power tools or a lot of hand tools, like they have a bag for you. Just some of the best bags I've ever had, because I used to rip a lot of the other brands that you see at the supply houses or that were there forever. And now Vita Pro Pack, second to none, never had an issue. Go check them out. So on today's episode, we have Matthew Pryce from Centrotherm. Now, this dude is nothing short of a literal rock star. You'll get what I mean by that during the episode. But yes, he's in the manufacturing side. Their company makes a lot of stuff for like more like heating and that side of things, and they do a lot of commercial stuff too. But after hearing about all the degrees this man has and all the different avenues he took in life in general, it's cool how it all tied back into getting into the trades and kind of helped him in his position to do different things and to do many things in this trade. You know, like I said, I know he's in the manufacturing part and he came from a different area than most of us because he actually has several degrees. He's one of us now. He's in the HVAC trade. He's having fun with this community that we have online with everybody here, the HVAC techs, all the guys, the plumbers, across Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff. And, you know, this was just a great, fun conversation, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. Matthew, how are you, man?
Excellent. Thank you for having me on, man.
No, I appreciate you taking the time to come on. I'm pretty sure you're busy around this time too. Just like when I was talking to Ben, you know, I know you handle some stuff here and there. We got the expo coming up. You got your own event right after that too. I'm pretty sure y'all are busy right now.
There is a lot going on. I mean, obviously it's heating season, right? So I work for Centrotherm. We're a heating company, and it's like crazy cold across North America right now. I think it snowed like 4 or 5 inches outside my door just today, right? So things just get ratcheted up for heating season at a heating company. But yes, of course, Centrotherm also sponsors the Tactical Awards. We'll be there, tuxedo on. We'll be walking the floor at AHR. Tuesday night, we have a rep event, you know, our manufacturers, agents and whatnot. We have like a little hospitality thing. We're planning that. And then, of course, we have the South Beach event down in Miami right on the heels of that as well. So the fun never stops.
It sounds like it, man. And we'll dive into basically all of what you just summarized right now, because, like I said, a lot going on, a lot of cool things too. So you're up in the New York area, right?
Correct. So I was personally born in New York City, but for the duration of time that Centrotherm has existed in North America, until last couple of weeks, the factory was in Albany, New York, so the capital of New York State, which is, you know, about midway between the northern border of Canada and New York City in the south. We just moved the facility. We sort of outgrew our production capabilities in southern Albany, at the port of Albany, and now we just moved in. That's another thing that's making things crazy and hectic. We just moved the entire facility about 16 miles north to Waterford, New York, right? So right up 787, we had to, you know, literally pick up our offices, take the pictures off the wall, mark which desk is mine, you know, and have it delivered to the new rooms and all this kind of stuff. And we're still sort of unpacking. So I mean, it's very, very busy, and of course it snowed a lot today, so it was hectic as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that actually, because I had heard that you were moving locations when I was watching Pat's episode when you were on there. So you guys just outgrew and kind of had to up and move. Like how difficult is it? Because like you guys deal with product. I'm assuming it's based out of that facility too, right? Like all the stuff you have.
For sure. We do, you know, a overwhelming majority of the manufacturing occurs, you know, on our floor, right? We've got plastic extruders, we've got thermoforming devices, we've got, you know, CNC and 5-axis machines. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm just the dumb marketing guy. I barely know anything about this sort of stuff, just enough to talk about it a little bit. But we have all this gear, all of the stuff that powers it, all of like the raw material, all that sort of stuff. I mean, that was probably the biggest thing that was or rather the largest or the most difficult element of moving it. Moving my desk, moving my computer, moving like the picture on the wall. I mean, it's a hassle, but it wasn't like all this this gear, and of course all of the inventory. We moved into a warehouse, or we now have a warehouse that's twice the size, 2.5 times the size, or some incredible amount. It's vast. So I mean, it was a lot of stuff to move, and thankfully someone else had to plan, almost all of it.
That's awesome, man. Growth. I mean, that's a good thing, right? You can't complain. But
absolutely.
Can you go ahead and explain to me a little bit, because I've been following you guys for a while, and like you said, it's more to do with like the heating side. But can you guys tell me what Centrotherm? I was like, I'm not gonna mess it up, but I kind of did. Centrotherm, what they do, what they sell, and the kind of products, for the people that don't know.
Sure. So, you struggled with the name, and we all struggle with the name, right? So officially we're called Centrotherm Ecosystems, and we are the North American branch of the building products division of a larger corporation that is held in Europe, right? So we have a bunch of sister companies around the world that do sort of similar stuff. We in North America, we have 2 product lines right now. We have a few other things that we work on. We do some plastic molding and stuff for some OEMs, and we have a handful of other things that we do on a very small scale. But our main product line is flue gas venting. So we have a proprietary blend of polypropylene that withstands greater operating temperatures than, say, PVC, CPVC. And when you vent a high efficiency water heater or boiler, you have to take that noxious carbon monoxide and all the condensates and stuff like that and handle it somehow, right? So we make the vent system that keeps the carbon monoxide, away from your family and out, out the roof with the sidewall penetration. That's one of the major product. So that's the one big time, long standing Centrotherm product. And we have a newer product that we also currently offer in Canada openly, and with some caveats in the US, that is ventilation stuff, and it's more plastic. We are a plastics manufacturer at Centrotherm. So vent systems, and then also ventilation systems, which that is the Air Excellent product. It's the green stuff that you may have seen on social media. There's like this really bold green pipe that sort of spider webs through through the ceilings and through the walls and stuff. And that brings fresh supply and return air, keeping your nasal passages, you're keeping your nasal passages non-irritated, not with fresh air, throughout your house off of a ERV or an HRV.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Like, and I have to tell people, like, down here in Texas, I don't deal with where I'm at, because like North Texas is getting like snow and crazy weather right now. But like where I'm at the very bottom.
So you're in Houston? Or where are you?
6 hours down.
6 hours down from Houston. Okay, so what's that, like Corpus Christi? Like where?
3 hours down from Corpus.
Oh my God! All right.
So I'm in like most people might know like Brownsville or SPI. There's an island down here, McAllen,
South Padre Island. Okay, sure.
Yeah. So I'm in that area, and it's just hot here all the time. Like we don't really deal with the heating. Like right now, it's 30-40 degrees outside. That's the coldest. That's the weather warning that we got. It was like, oh, it's gonna get close to freezing, but it never gets colder than that. So like all we do is just open up the doors and the windows, and we're enjoying that free air conditioning right now.
So in a place like South Texas, I mean, I don't really know too much about like even further than Houston, but let's just talk like Houston, for example. What we would primarily be able to help with in that area would be commercial stuff, a racked system of water heaters that provides on-demand hot water to a hotel, to a hospital, to a school, that sort of stuff. So we, even though we're a heating company, I mean, we are, we work with all of the water heating, water heating manufacturers as well. And I mean, everybody loves hot water regardless. So, and you need it in kitchens, and you need it in hospitals and hotels and stuff like that as well. So even though we might not be big in, or rather your area might not have like a ton of residential boilers, let's say,
Yeah.
So somewhere down the line, that Marriott that they're putting up is needs hot water going to 75 hotel rooms or whatever it is.
So you guys do a lot of commercial stuff too, then, right?
We do. The biggest diameter that we go up to is 12-inch, and we also make like a ton of sort of kits, I guess the best way to describe them, sort of starter packs for your first water heater, and then an extension for the second, and an extension for the third, and then an extension for the fourth. And the way that we typically work that is a smaller diameter comes right off the appliance into a much larger manifold, and then you continue the entire system out with the larger diameter stuff, right? So we definitely do a ton of commercial work as well. We're constantly quoting interesting stuff. The fun thing is when some photos come back, and to be fair, all of them look sort of similar. It's like, oh, look, it's 7 Navians in a row. That's fantastic. But then you find out that it's at JFK Airport, or it's at Citi Field, or it's the Los Angeles Rams practice facility, or all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, we do hotels and nursing homes and things like that all the time. But then there's those like sort of high profile jobs, like you did the stadium somewhere for some pro team or something like that.
Yeah. And that's cool because this stuff is everywhere, right? And then you guys are in basically all these markets, because we do mostly kitchen, refrigeration, and cooking equipment. My dad does work on boilers and things like that, water heaters for the cooking side, because they need all that stuff too. And we've done a lot of things, fast food chains, nice restaurants around here, we do hotels, and that's a whole other thing, right? They got their own equipment in that. Sure. We've done a stadium that's here. I mean, I'm in a small town, so it's not a huge stadium, but we've done work here too. It's everywhere. And that's really cool that you guys have that little market to be able to be in all that.
Sure, it's fascinating. I was trying to go and visit Citi Field. That's of course where the Mets play, and I wanted to go tour the mechanical room, but really just go to the stadium or whatever. I was trying to get that done, and we still might get that done at some point.
Yeah, I mean, you can go anywhere and be like, I just want to take a look at your HVAC system, or what else you got in your mechanical room,
Some people are real proud of that. I mean, it was just my wife's birthday, and a couple of friends, we rented this Airbnb, particularly because it had an indoor pool. And so we're in upstate New York, of course, can't go swimming outdoors, right? So it had an indoor pool, and it's this big, vast indoor pool system, humidifiers, and hot tub and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, hey, I gotta see how you're, doing all this sort of stuff. This guy was like, well, let me show you, man. And he took me down, and he's like, okay, so here's the tank, and here's the big commercial lock-in bar that I got, and this is how I do the filtration and all this sort of stuff, and all these different zones. And it was pretty impressive. The guy did it himself. He was a mechanical contractor who also created an Airbnb, so you could tell he was kind of like a bit of a mad scientist when he was building his own stuff. So it was fascinating.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
That sounds really cool. And it's everybody always posts that meme of when a HVAC tech goes out in public, and then I got to look at the AC system, or I got to look at the vents or duct system, and it's that's real. We like to see that kind of stuff. How does this work? How does that work?
For sure. Like I said, I don't know too much. I'm not a tech, right? I'm just a dumb sales guy, right? So I'm not super technical. I'm not an engineer, but I absolutely will take a peek if I have access to to the water heater and see how what brand it is, and what kind of pumps and stuff are on there. And to that point, I really do enjoy when Terrence does the plumbing reviews underneath the sink at the hotel, and he roasts the hotel or whatever it is for their cheap shoddy plumbing, or oppositely is very impressed by something that they have got going on underneath the sink. So that's always enjoyable.
So you being at Centrotherm now, is this your first time in this kind of work space? this trades, were you aware of it before, or is this your first rodeo here?
So, well, I mean, I guess it's a long rodeo, because I have been at Centrotherm now. I'm going on, it'll be my 9th anniversary this year. So I have been with Centrotherm for quite some time at this point, and we've seen a tremendous amount of evolution just just at our, at that company. But it is for sure my first foray into the world of HVAC. I have a lot of I have 2 English degrees, so English and like literature. I have a Bachelor of Arts and a Master's of Arts, and I have a Bachelor of Arts in music performance, music theory.
I was gonna say I've heard that you have like a lot of different like things that you went for and that you have under your belt. So it's kind of cool to see all that stuff. And now you're here in the trades with us,
Absolutely, and I love it. But so I worked at NPR was immediately prior to this, so I was a radio producer, which does help lend itself to some of the content stuff that I get to do for Centrotherm, making Instagram reels and playing with audio and doing video editing and stuff like that. But I was a tutor and a teacher. I've been a professor, a college professor. And then I worked at the radio station for a long time. For a couple of years. And now I've been at Centrotherm now since I feel like I was a wee lad, and now I'm like a grizzled old veteran here, moving up the chain at Centrotherm. As I started as like little marketing, like intern almost. And then I did a bunch of sales, and then I was marketing and sales. And now I'm the marketing and communications manager. I have an employee underneath me, and me and Mike Sakaris run, we are a good team in the sales department doing some, I think, really interesting and creative stuff in the space. But really, it definitely is my first HVAC anything. I will never forget my interview at Centrotherm with a friend of mine named Jim. He asked me, easy question, what kind of water heater do I have in my house? And I had no idea. So now I know I have a tanked A.O. Smith with natural draft and et cetera. But I didn't know at the time, and now I use that as my question to random people. I actually asked that of my congressman when he came and visited the factory a couple of years back. I asked him what kind of water heater he had. Did not know.
That's funny. Like, now that you're in the trade, now you pay attention to those things. That's what I was now coming around to, because even me, like growing, like, I got into it kind of young in my 20s and stuff, early 20s. And like before that, I had no clue. I didn't know what HVAC was. I didn't care about like any of that stuff. And then like getting into it, like I said, now I go everywhere. I look at things a little differently and notice more. So that's kind of cool.
Absolutely. I'm always looking at the duct work now in restaurants and stuff. It's like kind of in vogue to have that sort of industrial look, and all the duct work is like exposed. So you got to look at that stuff. And I'm always, fascinated by all of the trades now. So like I said, I'm primarily heating, but I'm very interested in big, refrigeration projects and, other cooling things and kitchen projects and all kinds of stuff like that. It's just fascinating that this was my sort of introduction to all of that stuff that makes the world go round, that a lot of people never even really give a second of thought to.
No, and that's what social media is helping with, like getting the word out there. And that's what I love about, even like with you guys handle your social media pretty well. I think you're the primary person behind like the Instagram account and stuff like that.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
It's just making it fun and cool. That's what we need,
Well, I appreciate that. A good, credit to my sales director, to my CEO, and really to our global, partners who kind of say, it seems like you kind of got this, just kind of go for it, man. And so there's not a lot of, I know of other companies that have a committee of people and have a very rigid process, and a lot of their content, even just their posts are very sanitized, or some people just don't get it at all. And it's really just commercials. So it just feels like sponsored content the entire time, or it's not a priority. So it doesn't even really get done at all. So, we like to think that we do it a little bit different. I definitely try to make it fun and interesting and get everybody involved. And of course, showcase the talent that's in the field doing, actually handling the product, especially.
Yeah, man, because I've talked about this before. I can't remember with who, but like when I'm on Instagram, there's certain companies, they're all trying to push a product right now. If they don't put it in your face, even better. It's just the relationships there. And like you said, making it fun, right? Because like I said, some companies do get it, some companies don't, right? They're just trying to push out commercials. They don't really care about getting to know the techs and what we do. We're the ones out there using their product. I'm getting constantly asked for recommendations, right? Whether it's tools, equipment, different products that are out in the field. So you guys are one of the companies that do get it, and like I said, we'll get into some of the other stuff you guys do on there, because like when I started seeing you guys and following you, because I've seen you with Jeff and Mike and all those other guys that are up there, Ben, the same thing. And I was like, I don't know what they do, but I like their page. I went in there and I started looking up, what you guys had and stuff. So I was like, I don't know, it just caught my eye.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you named a bunch of, legendary figures, and there are so many more. So many more.
It's growing rapidly too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky to have now become very good friends with a number of these guys, and actually, learn from them all the time as well. So that's one of the things that's really nice for me, is to be able to sort of bask in this amazing talent that is really just bubbling through every corner of Instagram, if you know where to look, of course, right? If you're following the right accounts, then there's all this positive stuff and uplifting stuff. I mean, I always talk about this stuff because it's very inspiring. People like yourself and Ben from HVAC Tactical, Ben Thompson, HVAC Strong, Eric Auney, Mechanical Hub. These people are all trying to, make things better, teach people. Mayberry is a good example. Even smaller accounts like Buddy. I don't know if you know Buddy the plumber. For just throw him out there just for an example.
Yeah, I've been following some really cool plumbers lately.
Yeah, so he's somebody who's got a bit of a smaller account, right? But he's like in the trench and doing it. He's not a media mogul, but he's installing and he knows what he's talking about with that stuff. So he's out there kind of showing best practices and sort of teaching people just by showing. And then I think it includes his son, who I think works with him, and he shows his son doing stuff and learning. It's generational at that point. So it's really, really inspiring to see that stuff. And I'm happy that I can kind of even nurture it a little bit. They're going to use venting in some capacity, right? So that we can sort of elevate and share from our little corner of the whole installation, the whole mechanical room, whatever. I'm going to do that. I'm going to absolutely push that out and support as fervently as I can.
And I will say or point out that I like that you used all their real names, because that just shows that you actually know these guys. You're friends with these guys, because like in the past, I've had people like, oh, like the screen names, right? Everybody remembers the screen name or the logo or anything like that. I always try to get to know them. I'm like, what's your name? Or figure it out, or meet them in person and get to know them, because relationships, that's a big deal, especially in social media. And that's cool that sounds like you know them all, instead of just looking at them as a influencer or something like that.
Yes, I mean, I could name 50 more. I mean, maybe 100,
cool.
100 more. I mean, it's really nice, and everybody does things a little bit differently, and so there's always something that I learned from it myself. Like I said, I'm no expert. I know mostly about my own product, of course, and very little about other stuff. So I'm always trying to soak that stuff up, because those guys are experts in all of it. So, I mean, it's fascinating to hear about condensate neutralizers and, other stuff that I don't work with. You know what I mean? So it's really nice that I, part of my job is literally like kind of playing and reading Instagram and learning stuff and interacting and commenting, even if it's just like thumbs up on an enthusiastic okay sign on posts or whatever it is. I mean, that helps with the algorithm. It's supporting in its own way. So
yeah, I always tell people who watch or view the stuff that I post, I'm like, just you watching it is cool, but like leaving a comment, dropping a like, that means a lot to us. We don't need like, I make money like on YouTube and things here and there, but it's like, I don't need donations. I don't need all that. Like, I don't really post it like to go buy my stuff, or to go buy or to use my Patreon or whatever it is. Just go watch it, like it, drop a comment. That means more than a lot, because then it pushes out everything else,
That's it, right? I mean, that's unfortunately we are all subject to certain algorithms on these platforms that I don't own and you don't own, but we use for various ends. And that just, obviously dropping a comment, just liking it, pushes it out a little further, feeds it to the next person who the algorithm has identified as having similar tastes, and that helps. So I'm getting arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis from liking posts all day and putting thumbs ups and all that sort of stuff on everybody's stuff.
I know, man, and I feel so weird because now I'm like on my phone so much, and it's like, no, I'm doing work, right? I'm trying to get my name out there or this out there, and it's like it's just weird because that's the kind of I guess the kind of world we're in now. Everything's like, especially after the whole COVID thing, like everything's online, online interactions, and then trying to push stuff.
I could definitely relate to that. My wife definitely is like, thinks that I would live in my phone, let's say. And
it's hard because I have to get after my kids for that, and then they're like, "But Dad, you're on your phone all the time." I'm like, "I'm working here,"
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and the thing about social media also is it's just 24/7 mostly. We do a lot with people in British Columbia. My colleagues are in Europe, right? So there are like posts and stuff that I'm aware of and sort of a part of that are 6-7 hours in the future and 3 hours behind. So it's a really interesting window of time. And of course, it's nights and weekends. So like I'll be, a very famous tale that gets told over and over again is like I'm on vacation, right, in quotes there. And I'm certainly like sharing boiler photos at the Acropolis in Athens, Greece. You know what I mean? Just like pumping out like likes and saying, oh, Colin Sadler, that was an amazing Navient installation. Boom, boom. And then, and then I'm like, oh, and then there is the, I'm in the Roman Agora or something like that in a different country as I should be, taking in that culture. I'm taking in the HVAC culture, through my little square screen.
Yeah, it's weird because when I started like my social media, it was at first to run my business or to get some stuff out there for my business and I was going to mention that earlier about the whole name thing. Like a lot of people call me Reliable. I have nothing against that. That's fine. I'm actually used to it from work because I show up and they're like, oh, because my handle is Reliable HVACR because that's what I want to focus on. But my company name is, or my dad's company name is Reliable Kitchen Services, right? So I got used to it. I show up and they're like, oh, Reliable's here. And I was like, I'm just going to name my Instagram the same or similar, right? And but that's the thing, right? I was trying to promote my business on there and it wasn't working because I'm not looking for homeowners and stuff like that. I only do commercial. But then I started noticing I'm getting people from Australia, New Zealand, like all these crazy countries, and I'm like there's something here. So like I just kind of pivoted and then try to just show like stuff that I do in general, right? Like posting stuff from work and little things here and there. And I'm like, man, this is like it's crazy to think that I have friends in all these other countries or even across the nation and stuff like that. But that's been like the biggest thing to take away from it is all the people that you meet.
It's a really tight-knit community. I mean, I think everybody is pretty pumped for AHR next week when, obviously these tactical awards is super fun. And then, just wandering around and picking up hats and socks and pens, shit like that.
Yeah, man.
Everybody, it's always nice to be like, oh, I haven't seen you maybe from, it's like the last time you saw that person was maybe the last AHR, right? So,
yeah,
it's always a reunion. Everybody is generally in good spirits, except for the manufacturers who are working, who are feeling a little bit of the stress.
Yeah, but you guys are not setting up this time, right? Are you going to get to enjoy it this time?
So this is the first time I'm actually looking forward to AHR a little bit because we opted to not exhibit this year. We did just get our booth space for 2025. So, my jubilation will be a little short-lived as I'm going to have to start planning AHR 2025 pretty much when I get back from the Squid Games, whatever. But this year, we are just walking the show. I've got some meetings, set up with things, with some people just to say hello and stop by and, reunite with my friends at Vega, reunite with my friends at Rigid and RLS, whatever, right? Stop by at those competitions. When I'm in the booth, I never get to go see that stuff. I can't wait to film it all. I can't wait to be in the thick of that and watch people compete, that's something.
And I will say, I will say, like, I think I don't know if it was when I had Lance on the other week. Somebody in the chat was asking, like, what's, like, a lot of people still don't know about either the award show or the expo, and they're like, what is this AHR expo? I haven't seen too much on it. So, like, I know more people, like I said, there's more content creators and it's growing like really quick. So I'm pretty sure we're going to be there and everybody's going to be out with their cameras, recording the whole event. But that's really cool. I'm going to try and do something too, just to, spread it out more and showcase, just us being there vlogging. Is there, like you said, there's competitions. I think there's going to be a ton of them this year.
There's at least two. There's a press competition,
Oh yeah.
and I mean, I think it's our last.
There's always something, because the last time they had somebody who was like, who can put a mini split together the fastest, who can do
right. You're
like
right.
sheet metal pieces the fastest and drilling stuff. Like, I think every booth now is going to have like some sort of competition going on.
Well, I think that the manufacturers or the exhibitors, let's call them, that are kind of, they understand that it can't always just be a pitch for the product anymore. You can get that information online. You can talk to the rep. You can go to your wholesale supplier and touch some stuff and figure some stuff out, right? So there's got to be a little bit more of a draw there. You want to know. Here's my call for this year. Here's my prediction. You tell me if it comes true. I bet you that more booths will have like a goddamn Instagrammable booth backdrop photo dealy with, say, a similar light to like what you've got or like what I've got back behind, or sort of a stop and repeat kind of situation with a tiled logo. I bet you that there is photo op is a big consideration in booths this year.
Yeah, man, because like I mean, haven't seen it yet. We'll see if it comes to fruition this time, but that's a big thing, right? Like, video is one thing, but I took a ton of pictures last time with all my, all the people that I got to meet in person and stuff, like, and then I know like some of the booths do try to do like the whole meetup thing, and then they want to take like a group photo and stuff like that. So yeah, they might as well take advantage of that and set something up. So we'll see if that comes in, anything comes of that. But
that's my prediction.
Like you said, like, you don't want to hear a pitch, because like me too, like I've walked around a couple now, and I don't want to, like, sometimes if it's something really cool, like, pitch it to me,
or new,
like,
something that's new that you don't know about,
yeah, cool, give me some info. Like, so there was stuff there. Sometimes they unveil new stuff, which is cool. That stuff is cool, but like, show me something, right? Like, show me how this drill works or your product works, like. And the competition is really cool, but like, they need to show us that stuff in person, and not be so worried about the pitch.
Yeah, well, to me, it all depends on who you send as a manufacturer. I mean, not everybody is personable, or I mean, some old school people will just immediately just start throwing the pitch at you with, immediately, right? It's, I think, kind of, and some people are looking for that, right? I mean, they'll be, you'll come across the guy who's like a journeyman who, had always thought about going AHR, but like, this is the year they pulled the trigger because like their cousin was getting married in Chicago or whatever, and like it worked out for him.
I went to the Vegas one because my friend was having his bachelor party there, so that's why I went to the Vegas, and I was like, oh, perfect, it's the same week.
Right, exactly, right. So those guys will be the ones that like want to go around and have that sort of traditional trade show experience. They're definitely there, and of course this is a I think see a lot more of the next generation of installers and type stuff like that, but that's not to say that the older generation isn't still present and also in the decision-making capabilities as well, right? So there are some of the older guys who don't really give a shit about Instagram who are still walking those aisles as well. And
it's not just old people, because like I've seen a lot of this stuff. So when I go, like, a lot of the stuff I've already seen, right, online or on Instagram, on YouTube, whatever it is. But I took my brother with me to the Vegas one and to the Atlanta one. So that like, the Vegas was our first time, and I was kind of like, oh, I've seen all this. My brother, on the other hand, does not do social media like that, and he wasn't aware of all this, right? So he was kind of taken aback a little bit, and then like his favorite stuff was all the big like the demos, the big
Sure.
setups that they had, all the machines and equipment. Like he was actually like impressed and amazed with it. And he's walking around taking pictures and video of just the equipment that's there. And he was sending them to my dad and stuff. He's like, dude, this is amazing. So like I've seen that dynamic because like I'm one way, he's another way, and we both enjoyed it.
I mean, and this is what makes AHR such an interesting and meticulous and strange thing for a marketing person or for, a sales organization, because how do you strike an interesting balance between displaying things that you want to be seen, drawing people in a catchy and interesting way, keeping their attention? I mean, the people do giveaways and stuff. I mean, I forget who it was, so obviously it wasn't that great, but I do remember one time that they had like a Fender Stratocaster with the logo on it, and it was like, drop your business card, and like at the end of the week we're gonna pick it out. So that was kind of fun. I actually went there and I tuned the guitar for them and put it back on the stand, what have you. And another one that I remember was I want to say it was Milwaukee. And they had a giant, like huge 60 by 60, massive football field within AHR, let's say. And I mean, they were showing off saws, and I mean, they're like shooting. I mean, like there's like wood flying everywhere. I mean, it's a spectacle. It's loud and it's like messy and whatnot. I mean, people are trying these chainsaws out or whatever and just chopping shit up. I mean, and make, having a good time trying it for the first time, whatever. I mean, that's, certainly one way. I do hope that they gave their booth staff earplugs.
Oh, I can imagine. All right, man. So let me backtrack a little bit. And so you, like you said, you've been at Centrotherm for like you said it was 9 years.
It'll be 9 years.
It'll be 9 years. And then before that, so then what did you go to, or what was the first thing you wanted to do? Because you said you were a professor, a teacher, a musician. Like,
I mean, how far back you want to go? So like when I was like 7 years old, I definitely thought I was going to play like shortstop for the Yankees.
I mean, I was the same way. I'm a big basketball dude. I was like, oh, I don't care. I'm going to go play basketball professionally.
So that's, that was it, was of course what I wanted to do. And then fast forward a few years later, and of course I want to be, kind of like Jimi Hendrix. Which arm is it on? I wanted to be like Jimi Hendrix. Nice. So I started learning this stuff and what have you. And I mean, I did go back to school for that. And I played like a ton of bands and a million gigs. And I mean, I could show you a video of all kinds of stuff of me playing every instrument. I played, I'm not quite sure, probably like 12 or 13 different instruments. And I've done gigs on almost all of them, meaning I've been like a paid performer.
Yeah.
To play mandolin, to play ukulele, to play synthesizers, keyboards, drums, whatever, sing. So I mean, that was really what what I'd like to do. But I've always just wanted to make stuff. It's funny because there is parallel to building in the trades, what have you. But I'm always just like a maker. I want to make a movie, make a song, make art, make a Photoshop of the president or something like that. Just always making stuff. I like to make stuff.
And that's funny because there's a lot of guys that I've talked to that are in the trades and then do social media, and like it's because they're they have that creative side to them too. I was like that growing up too. I tinkered with like Photoshop stuff, a little bit of video editing here and there, and then like lo and behold, hey, that pays off now. I get to do that more now, and it's like I'm getting technically paid for it and stuff like that, and it's really cool to kind of see that come back into play. And so you've always been into that creative side. You did kind of the same stuff plus the music part, and so that all that stuff you went to school for. Like, I know you said you were younger and you kind of learned guitar and stuff, but did you go to school for music?
So I went to school for music kind of as an adult. So when I graduated from high school, and then I went immediately and I got a bachelor's degree in English, and right after that I got a master's degree in English. So I went to college and then I went to grad school right afterwards, and that's what I was like teaching, and I was doing a little bit of journalism and stuff like that as well.
So you're a writer too?
Oh, absolutely. I've got articles published in. After being in the trades for going on 9 years, I am most published in like trade magazines, right? I have an article in the latest HVAC Tactical magazine. I have to write, I have a deadline this week. I have to write an article for PHCC Massachusetts. That's the Plumbers Heating Cooling Contractor Association, right?
I know who you're talking about. I work with them too now, and I always forget the letters.
Yeah. So PHCC, I got to write one that'll be in, I guess it will be the spring issue, I suppose. But I write one for them, for a quarterly article for them. I've been in Contractor. I've been in PHCP Pros. I've had content on the National Review and MSNBC and stuff. That's not the trades, but I've written a ton of weird stuff, and a lot of my Photoshop work and some digital stuff that I've done as well has also, been published here and there. I actually,
you got pretty far with some of those other endeavors that you had. And then that, like I said, full circle, that writing comes into play now that you're doing articles for HVAC magazines and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And actually, one last thing is I just sold a design to it's not one of my favorite bands, but like my buddy's favorite band just bought a piece of art for me to make t-shirts and stickers out of that they're going to sell on their tour, selling them at the merch stand. So yeah, I mean, I have a lot of irons in the fire. I have a lot of projects that I do. I mean, so another thing that I just did, I wish I had more time to grow like my own YouTube channel. Sure. But I just posted a video the other day. I reviewed like one of these pieces of guitar electronics. A different friend of mine released a custom guitar pedal, is what it's called. It has a particular effect that it does, and so I got one of those, and then I did a video review for him, just create some marketing for him. So that's like another thing that I do sometimes is review music equipment and stuff like that. So
that's cool, man. Like I said, you've got pretty far with some of the stuff that you've done. So that writing or that English stuff that you did, the degrees and all that, that kind of paid off for you there.
No question about it. I mean,
did the music come? Well, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So actually, it's kind of fun just to tie it to Centrotherm. The guy who did my interview had a particular respect for people with English degrees. His mother was an English professor her whole life, and also when I was hired, it was obviously my knowledge of HVAC was nil. It did not exist. I had 0% knowledge, and I was mostly hired because they felt that I could spell. They needed somebody who could spell, and I could spell.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty important.
Yeah, it is. So that's when I became the guy who kind of writes the, some of the newsletter content and press releases and stuff that goes in, announcements and things. The magazines often will put in, little blurbs about new products or new hires and stuff like that. So I write all that sort of stuff up and send it off to the magazines when we have little bits of information we want to tell to those people. But you were asking, I think, about the music and when it started. I mean, I've been playing guitar now.
When did that come into play? But I know, you learned it, I'm assuming earlier, but did you go to, I think you said you had a degree in that too, no?
I do. Right. So I got there's a little drawing that I made when I was 8 or 9 years old. Of this guy playing the electric guitar, and my mom was always asked me, do I want one? And at that time I was so focused on baseball, when I was I don't care. It wasn't until I was 15 where I was no, I think this is for me. And I can actually remember the exact moment. I was being driven to middle school. I was probably in 6th or 7th grade, and again Hendrix comes playing on the classic rock radio station. My mom's dropping me off in literally 6th grade, and something comes on, and it's Voodoo Child, Slight Return, and I thought it was the most badass thing that I've absolutely ever heard in my whole life. And I can remember it was the first time I ever heard it, and I thought to myself, that is just so absurdly cool, so badass, that if I could somehow learn how to do that I too would be cool and badass. So of course I achieved that, but that was the moment then. And then from there, and then I got a shitty beginner guitar for Christmas, And
I had a similar thing happen because my dad used to take us to school sometimes, like, and I always say that about my dad, like he always made time for us, right? He did the little things, taking us to school, picking us up, but he was in the trades. He worked overnight sometimes and stuff like that. But I liked it when I went to school with him because he always had that radio, that rock radio station here, the classic rock, and I got heavy into it when I was little, like when I was younger, and he introduced me to the AC/DC, Metallica, like you said, Jimi Hendrix, like all the great classics. And I too wanted a starter guitar. I got that. That's why I was like, I know what a guitar pedal is. Like I have a guitar pedal. I have a little setup. He got me a speaker. Like he was really into it too. He's like, let's go. Just never got that good at it. And I kind of let it go. And I was really into sports, when I got older. So like, that's what I'm saying. Similar deal there. I just didn't go all the way with it.
Yeah, it's something that I mean, when I picked it up, I knew that that I would never put it down. I mean, I don't get bored practicing, which I think is a problem for a lot of people.
My brother that works with us, he's my younger brother. He's a fantastic bass player, and he's one of those guys that when he got it every single day, just hammering it out. And I was like, dude, you sound like incredible. He was doing like the little Metallica riffs and stuff like that. I was like, damn, dude. So I mean, he got that part of that. I didn't get that deal where I was like picking it up and doing it every day, but he did it, and he's fantastic at it. And he still plays from time to time, but like when he was a little younger, he really hammered it out.
I mean, you gotta love it. It is certainly a commitment. Like anything that requires practice to get good, you have to want to do it. It can't be boring. It can't get old or stale. If it was up to me, my wife would definitely tell you that I would never leave this little semicircle here where it has all of my toys sort of circularly put around me, and I can do, pretty much anything musically in this little half thing. There's God, I should count how many instruments are like within my arm's reach right now. There's a set of congas. There is a ukulele. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guitars, then a bass guitar, the lights, the amps. There's a bouzouki back here, synthesizers. There's like a box that has like 13 harmonicas in it over there. There's a banjo on the wall. There's a mandolin in a bag, in a case over there. Another acoustic guitar hanging up on the wall. I mean, I've been pretty lucky to be able to get a lot of this stuff, and really, more or less, a lot of it paid for itself in as much as I've used it to do gigs and stuff. I've taken this mixer and this synthesizer and this drum machine and some of these, like, they've come with me miles and miles and set up on stages in various places to do all kinds of different stuff. Play jazz, improvise jazz music, to play jam band or songs that I've written, to play cover band bullshit, for like drunk, middle-aged ladies dancing to, Journey or whatever. All of it and everything in between. And it can all be fun or it can all be miserable. It all depends on the gig.
I can imagine, man. But you mentioned something about bands too. So you've done this, like you said, you did gigs and stuff like that, but you've been in a few bands or something
I've been in a ton of bands. I mean, a ton of bands. So I've had, so I've been doing this now for what is probably close to 23 years, or rather I played for, and I mean, geez, I was in a metal band in college called Trauma, and,
Nice.
just playing, just ripping metal solos the whole time and just like heavy down picking stuff. And I was like the hippie. I was like a big Grateful Dead fan. They just needed a guitar player. And so I'll never forget this. We did a photo shoot at a graveyard, and they're all dressed in like black leather, and I wore tie-dye. So that was hilarious. I really wish this is before digital cameras were readily available. I wish I had those photos. I've been in many, many bands where I was the primary vocalist and I wrote all the songs. My old band before that kind of dissolved during COVID. We have 2 albums on Spotify. It's all songs that I wrote and we recorded together, right? So I have a bunch of other stuff on Spotify as well. Me and my buddy have 2 albums together as well, just us 2. I've sold music, right? One of the most interesting and fun things that I ever had to do was I wrote a piano piece for these people. I didn't even know them. They were like they found me on Craigslist or something, and it was for them to. They wanted an original piece of music to walk down the aisle to. So I wrote this like lyrical kind of piano piece in E flat. Don't ask me to play it because I don't remember it. I'd have to go dig out the music. But I didn't even met them. I didn't even go to it. I wrote this piece. I recorded this piece, and I sent them a WAV file. And then I assume, pressed play at some point and got married. I never even met them. They like PayPal'd me.
Well, that's a cool thing to do, though.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it was interesting. It was fun. It was an interesting kind of gig. I wish I could do more of that type of stuff. Be awesome and fun.
The gigs, did you go far out to different locations, or where was that?
So, I mean, when I was younger, I would say I would never call whatever I've done as touring at all. Like I've not done, like a coast to coast or like, Dublin and then London and then Amsterdam and Switzerland. Like, no, I've never done that. Yeah. I think the time is unfortunately past for that dream, although it was something that I really wish I could have done at some point in my life. Now I, get on a Delta flight and go visit these things as a tourist. So whatever. Yeah. I mean, I got there one way or the other. But I mean, when I was younger, you're still in school and stuff like that. So you play sort of the local thing. So I grew up around New York City. So I played a ton in like Manhattan and Brooklyn, but also in like Westchester, Mamaroneck, New Rochelle, Mount Vernon, Yonkers, like right in this little like Westchester, New York, Long Island, New Jersey area. Then, I played with my band, a bunch of festivals and stuff like that, all in sort of like in the Northeast, into Massachusetts, into Western New York, a little further south. I play, you get these strange and one-off gigs. I mean, like one of the most fun gigs I ever played was at a like a block party, I guess, somewhere in Pennsylvania. I couldn't even tell you where, but they were roasting a pig, and they made this makeshift stage out of a pontoon boat. And I mean, it was this place where there was, like no curfew or nothing. So we were like jamming real late and everybody's partying. I mean, it was like an amazing time, So, and then, I played with this cover band for a little while when I first moved up here, and we were going like pretty much south of where I am now, all the way up to like the Canadian border was like the area that we played for the most part. So I was driving 4 hours, sometimes 5 hours to get to these gigs. Which is not obviously getting on a private jet to go and play at, like I'm at Square Garden or something like that. But, we were playing these gigs that were booked and decently paying, out of town.
Oh, man, that's cool though. That you got to, it's a cool experience, right? You got to do that for a time there and live it out a little bit.
Sure. And I still will do it on occasion. COVID really kind of screwed stuff up. I had, before my old band, we had just released an album, and then COVID happened like right at that time. So we had released this album, and I had pretty much all of 2020 booked already. Right. So I had like festivals in the summer, and I had a bunch of good gigs lined up through like almost the whole year. And then then everything closed down. And during that time, my bass player, who I'm still very close with, I was literally talking with him like 5 minutes ago. He moved to Philadelphia, and we just kind of fizzled out. But so kind of COVID kind of put the kibosh on that in particular. This summer was the first time I played out in maybe 4 or 5, 6 months, 7 months, something like that. When a friend of mine called me and was like, "Hey, I can't make this gig. I got this gig. I can't make this gig. It makes this much money. I need you to do this." And I was like, "Yeah, well, all right, sure, fine." So like I strapped the guitar up. I went over there, and we, I played a private party for some people, like, literally 15 minutes from my own house, basically, just like over there somewhere, up the way. And I mean, it was fun. It was just like outdoors, just jamming, having a good time. Have a beer, whatever. It was a good time.
And that's cool that you still get to kind of like go back to that here and there.
Yeah, I mean, if I was passionate about carrying shit, I would just I'd make some calls and we'd be right back at it, right? I mean, I still have all those connections, and if I wanted to do it, I'd call some friends. I'd see what I could put together as in terms of an ensemble. And then, I mean, I could book gigs with people, tomorrow, you know what I mean? I could make some calls and get some stuff figured out and get some stuff going. If I really wanted to, but this stuff is heavy, and the way that linear time works, I am getting old. So
I feel the same way with what I do, right? I'm like, man, I'm getting a little bit older. I don't want to be carrying around like for me, it's like bigger tool bags or downsizing stuff here and there. It's like can't do it anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why my whole setup here is pretty. It's pretty like designed to look good on camera almost, and not. I mean, if I had to go to a gig, I would have. I don't even know how much unplugging I would have to do, and I mean, I won't show you some of the cable situations down there. It would offend you. But yeah, so this is where I do stuff now, and I've just invested in Pro Tools, so now I'm starting. I want to record like my first ever sort of solo album, and I'm just going to do all the production myself and see what happens.
Yeah, you're gonna do that in your studio there then.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, I can't wait to see what comes of that, man.
I'll definitely post it out. I put my music in various things, right? So at the end, so both the beginning song and the end song of the Centrotherm podcast are just like me screwing around, just making stuff and recording.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was gonna ask you about the podcast too. But first, how did you get from there, how did you get into designing and what you do, like marketing and stuff?
So I mean, I'm just sort of a natural sleazy sales guy, I guess. So there's, that just sort of.
I got a buddy like that. Like he's still my best friend and stuff. Like he would get these jobs and they're always commission based or sales based. He was damn good at them always. And he's like telling me about it. I'm like, I can't do that, dude. It's not for me. Go do you.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm of course kidding. I think that I actually buck some of the trends of a traditional sales guy, and in truth, I am a marketing person more so than a salesperson. I'm less, less held accountable to certain like specific quotas by territory and things like that, and more about what I like to think marketing is supporting sales activities. And what I personally do is like, I think elevate the Centrotherm brand name and make us more of a notable thing. This way, when a sales guy goes in to have that conversation, we don't have to introduce ourselves. People know who we are now. And I think I've had some like phenomenal success in raising the profile of Centrotherm over the last couple of years. But to answer your question specifically, well, I pirated Photoshop in high school and I never looked back. Right. So I pay for Adobe now, guys, so don't come back to me. But that's really what it was I downloaded Photoshop probably in like 1999. And if you could imagine what it looked like back then, man, I mean, it's come a long way. But I loved it. And I started making cartoons and photoshopping my friends and doing all kinds of stupid, insane nonsense with it. And I just messed with it till I knew how every tool worked. And then, I mean, I've just grown with it. And so, I mean, being able to play with Photoshop and then kind of getting a knowledge of like, let's say color theory and graphic design led itself to making flyers for things, making logos for things, right? So promotional support. And then, you combine that with the sort of like the English knowledge, the ability to craft a sentence or a message or a slogan or something like that. And it kind of just all works. I'm not a traditional marketing person by any stretch of the imagination. I don't have a marketing degree. And to be fair, a lot of the stuff that they call marketing in a corporate sense bores me and I don't really want to do it. So, I'm more of like a branding and content and front and back of the camera kind of person with a sort of understanding of how messages land and, also how to, I think, support people and talk to the right people and stuff like that as well.
Was all that on your own? Like, so you have no degree in any of that kind of stuff, right?
That's all like 100% pure Pryce, man. I mean, that's just sort of how I've always, been just, a talker and just a like I said, I like to make stuff, right? So make a reel, make an installation instructions, make a QR code that goes to a video that I made. Also, like that kind of stuff is all marketing is making stuff that supports sales activities. So whatever that is, be it an Instagram reel or be it a laminated sheet that has all of our parts on it and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a little bit similar, you know, even though obviously a reel is very different than a technical document or what have you. But I mean, sort of the same family of creation.
Because like I know you mentioned about your first Photoshop. I mean, I kind of went down that route too, right? I got the whole suite when I was looking for them. Anyway, I learned a lot of the different programs there, and like it helped me with our business because my dad started his business. He doesn't know how to use a computer. He doesn't know anything, you know, how to get the name out there. He needed a logo. So I kind of messed with, like you said, Photoshop and all these other ones. And like InDesign, Illustrator. I designed a logo, got different things out, designed a brochure, a flyer, just went to town and I was like, I really dived into it. And you know, I got into that too. But it's funny because like I mentioned, my younger brother, well, my youngest brother is the musician on the side. My middle brother is the designer on the side. So he's the one that if I ever have a question like how does this work in Photoshop, I will go ask him because he did photography and videography. He tried to do it professionally, but the job that he's at, he's been there so long, like they pay him so well, and it's just something he would do on the side, you know, his little gigs here and there. And I think he's trying to pick it up again, but like he's the one, it's like he knows what he's doing. I'm like, I don't know, I'm winging it over here, but if I ever have a question, I'll go to him.
I mean, by all means, message me as well. Happy to help.
I was gonna say now I have a good connect for several things because you got a lot going on, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, so it really did start with Photoshop because, God, it's gonna date me, I suppose, but I don't think InDesign was a thing when I first started messing with Photoshop, right? And definitely, you know, Premiere Pro wasn't a thing either, and that's my preferred editing software. People like DaVinci Resolve these days in the nerd, like in the video in the video editing subreddit world, like let's say, you know, DaVinci Resolve is pretty popular, but I only have two brands across all the music stuff, right? Like I love Gibson, I love Fender, I love Ibanez. I don't have any brand allegiance except for two companies, and they both start with A. One of them is Adidas, and the other one is Adobe. those are my brands.
I gotcha. Well, that's really cool, man. So like you, I mean, so now you handle all that stuff, right? For Centrotherm, you're behind and in front of the camera, handling their Instagram. Were you doing the rebranding for them? I heard you say something about that on Pat's.
Yeah, so I can't say that I did that by myself, but I definitely did a lot of it. Like I didn't design the logo, but I have I would say fond memories of parts of it because I did get to work with one of my absolute favorite people in the world. His name is Martijn. He's one of my colleagues from the Netherlands. But I'll never forget it because we did it leading right up to AHR in 2018. So around like January 5, 2018, Martijn comes in from the Netherlands and we sit there and we go over like the company soup to nuts. And we made new letterhead and ordered new business cards. We redid the website completely. We changed all of the documentation that had the old logo on it. We updated everything completely holistically. And he was obviously a big help to me, but that was a wild time to completely wipe away the brand identity that had been there for, years, decades globally, but years in the US, and introduce a new thing completely when they said it was time to do that. I mean, that was none of that was my decision. If it was up to me, we'd rebrand again. I don't really love our logo. It's okay, but it does present design challenges. I actually the chartreuse green has of course grown on me, but it is also very garish. It does lend itself to having very nice looking stuff. That's why I picked this coffee cup, because it's the same color as our Centrotherm, what have you.
I was going to say it stands out.
Yeah, it definitely stands out.
there's that.
Doesn't match with everything, so it does present some difficulties. But if it's bright, and but yeah, I mean, so that was a wild time to completely revitalize and revamp the entire brand identity of the company, from that, which we're still, so 2018 is what, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and we still find certain forms, like, you dust it off. It's like, oh, it's got the old logo on it still. All right, I guess we gotta update that form. So it's still an ongoing process, even that many years later. But it was certainly an arduous task to get it done. And we were under the gun because we were like up against going to AHR when we had a new booth with the new logo and everything. It was fascinating time to be alive. Very exciting stuff at the pipe store.
And did you say you were like a disc jockey or DJ or anything like that, or was it radio? Did you do radio?
I did do radio. So I've never been a DJ per se, amateur DJ when I'm in the car, of course, spinning all the classics. But no, my previous job before Centrotherm was I worked for WAMC, Northeast Public Radio, the Capital Region of New York affiliate for NPR. So I was a segment producer for WAMC. And what I did was, I had to produce 2.5 minutes of radio for every Monday through Friday, right? So I had a little segment that I worked on that aired at 7:34 a.m. and 4:56 p.m. Monday through Friday. It was called a module, right? It was what I produced. It was like a little gap filler in between shows. So a show would run short, 24 minutes instead of 30. And then I would produce these little things that filled in. So I had to, it was my job to make 5 of them a week, essentially. And so, yeah, that was interesting stuff. And that's where I got, I learned a lot about audio editing, obviously, there.
Yeah. Was that you like doing voice work too, or what kind of segments were they?
So it was called the Academic Minute. It still airs. There's a guy who produces it now. It's still on the air so many years later. And what it was hosted by, at the time, she was the president of Mount Holyoke College in Hadley, Massachusetts, just about 45 minutes to an hour east of me here. And I would write the script for her. And she would introduce. So she'd come and she'd go, "Oh, I'm Dr. Lynn Pascarella, and today on the Academic Minute, we talk to so and so from Duke University, and he'll discuss his research into biomedical engineering in the ecosystems of South America or something like that." So really, what it was a chance for professors across the globe to discuss their research in about a 2-minute spiel. So I would write the segment introduction, and I would audio edit the recordings. I would help these professors get their segments together, and they would be able to sort of advertise what they were working on. So it was super fascinating because I was talking to people like robotics professors and psychologists and biologists. The only criteria was you had to be a tenured professor at a university conducting research to be on the program. So the segments that we produced were incredibly fascinating, and the most fun part of it was matching up an interesting like pop song to end the thing, right? So the person was saying like, and that's why I do this research about dinosaurs, and then the segment lady would come on and go like, and that was Billy Jackson of Duke University discussing dinosaurs, blah 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 blah. And then as she would read the credits saying, the Academic Minute is brought to you by the blah 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 blah, we would start playing bumper music underneath it, and we'd pick a song that was related to the the subject matter of the research. So it was a lot of fun to match material to the research.
Yeah, because I was on YouTube first, really, when I was doing my editing and videos and all that stuff, and I was always a big fan of like the music that comes through on certain videos, right? Like, and I'm a big movie person, all that stuff. I pay attention to all that kind of stuff, and that's kind of what I try to do in my videos, right? So music, sometimes that's a tough thing for me, trying to make sure it matches the video, the mood, the whatever you got going on. So That's something that I edit my video and then I go through with the music, and it's like I'm there for a while just going through different types, different styles. So I can admire that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it became sort of a guessing game, right? I mean, or not a guessing game, but like a bit of a game between me
Yep.
and the program director, trying to find something that was the most suitable, and also no repeats, right? So
Mm.
you can only use it one time. Walk the dinosaur, can only be used the one time for the paleontologist that you had, and you got to find something else next time.
Yeah, man, I try to do that too. I don't like to have the same song playing every video, so I'm always like, okay, got to look for another one, right? And I asked if you did any voice work because you have a podcast, right? That you do. Is it for Centrotherm?
It is for Centrotherm. So
And it's like, is it you and a co-host?
It is. It is. My sales director, Mike Sakaris, he and we actually have scheduled, we're recording season 4, episode 1. I like to actually think of it as a TV show because
I do the same thing. We're on season 2 right now of this show.
Fantastic. And I like to think of it more of a produced TV show because we do video mostly. I prefer the video. I do it from our green screen office, so we do all kinds of bells and whistles behind us and stuff like that as well. And so me and Mike Sakaris, and we've had amazing guests come on. You should come on one of these upcoming months, sir. It'd be great to have you.
And I've caught tidbits and stuff like that, and I've seen when you guys are live, like on Instagram, and it's always fun and stuff, and I like watching what I can in the time that I have, but it seems like a fun show.
It's for uplifting the trades, right? One thing that I make it very clear is it is not a commercial for the products that I sell, right? Like at all.
Sure.
And we've had all kinds of people, all kinds of notable guests on, and all sorts of from every corner of the mechanical room, from wholesalers, reps, installers, influencers, big and small, organization members, people from Hardy and like ASA, that's the American Supply Association. We've had all kinds of people. We had advertising guys on who work for trades magazines. And I mean, again, it's just sort of similar to this, loose, conversational, and certainly no jamming of our product, into the face there. We do highlight installation sometimes, but mostly I like to focus on stuff like how well the copper is done, or like there's these guys up in Alberta, Schaefer Plumbing. They're coming down to Miami, with us in a couple of weeks. They love LED lighting in their installations, right? So all of their stuff is super lit. I mean, it's got all kinds of, I mean, it's amazing to see these two, cascaded NTIs, and then it's just like glowing blue underneath it or whatever. I mean, it's fascinating.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like the Jeff Jadam type of style.
Yes, exactly. He's really big on, yeah, they love the diamond plate as well. I mean, they're really going the extra mile. Those guys, they're great. And I mean, obviously Jeff is another absolute legend and one of the sweetest guys around.
Yeah, I mean, he's really cool. One of the first guys that I would talk to on Instagram, and super cool dude. Like a lot of these guys, like I try to mention this a lot, like just message them, ask them questions. They're all happy to help. When I started, I didn't have any following or anything. I hit up him and Mike Mayberry and a whole bunch of guys on there, and they're super helpful.
I mean, there is a community of really, really kind folks. And I mean, the people that you just named are all people who have like these huge accounts, and they're still like the most, humble and helpful and down to earth guys. I mean, we had to beg Mayberry to come to Miami. We were like, he was like, give it to a younger guy, like give it to somebody who's up and coming. He's like that. He's like, find somebody else who can, who will benefit from this more than me. And I'm like, bro, that's awesome and incredible. But we, that's why we want you to come, so we have to talk him into it. So,
I love Mike because sometimes I when I would first meet him and stuff, like I saw him at Vegas. That's where I met a lot of the guys the first time. He looks a little intimidating sometimes, right? And then like he's like, hey, like I was like, who I am? And he's like, yeah, and like wanted pictures and super nice dude. Like I love that guy.
Incredible guy. I mean, all those guys are just.
Yeah, I mean it's great. So that whole podcast, whose idea was that? Like, how did that start?
Well, I mean, it was when I moved offices for the first time. Well, not for the first time, but like when I moved into the area where I was able to paint the wall with that matte green, I knew that we should do something like a TV show because I knew that I could make it look really cool. So that's sort of the idea. And then, of course, Mike is very supportive. And also, he's a big ham, too. He loves to be in front of the camera. So it just was natural. And him and I are incredibly close. So we have a natural rapport as well. We have a lot of fun doing it. And it's something it's something that I wish I had more time. I'd love to do 2 a month if we could, but booking a guest and getting it edited and all this other stuff. I mean, it's like very time consuming even to do just 1 a month. And so, yeah, especially the way that we do it with a bunch of different segments and stuff like that. So it's difficult, but it's super rewarding, and we get to have amazing conversations with some of the top people in the industry, and we just have a great time doing it. And I like to think that it looks pretty fun and cool and we have even I'm unveiling a new studio. We'll call it a studio. It is obviously the background element from the green room. So we will have a new studio for season 4, episode 1, which will we have Alex Bischoff of Howard Mechanical scheduled to be our guest. And awesome. So that's how we're kicking off January. We're recording that on Friday.
That's awesome.
Or this coming up Friday. So this will air, you said, in a couple days, right? So yeah,
after
it'll be right around that time.
The name of it is Mechanical Room, right?
The Mechanical Room, yes.
Okay. Anybody want to go check that out? Okay, so because we've been talking about community, the stuff that you have going on, the podcast. There's this other little thing that you guys started, Squid Games, and I kind of wanted to get into that because I'm also curious about it too.
Sure.
Now, can you tell us, maybe explain what it is to people that maybe haven't heard of it, because it's fairly new still anyway.
Yeah, well, this is the second season, as I'd like to call it. We are basically doing the same thing that we did in 2022, only larger. We had about 27, 28 people coming down. We have twice that coming down this time around. And I mean, basically, it's a networking event, and everybody's kind of, it's not dissimilar to, say, the Rigid experience, or Navien brings people to NASCAR or go to Vegas and go see Santana and things like that. So I mean, obviously it is like a marketing expense is the way it is looked at in terms of corporate language. But really, sure. I mean, I'm looking at it very, very similar to how we do the podcast as well. We're just bringing together some of the top people in the industry, and it's going to be a great time, a great networking event. We're going to play some games, have some fun. There's prizes. I mean, we're going to be at the beach. We're going to be, at the Temple House, which is just an insane facility. So day one, we did it basically one day last time around. Now we got 2 days this time around. Day one, we're doing some beach stuff. We're doing, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but some people know about some of this stuff already too. But so we got some games at the beach that we're planning. Then there's a scavenger hunt throughout South Beach that we're gonna unleash these people out throughout South Beach and make them put my sticker on a stop sign and things like that. Take a photo of it, whatever. And then we got like dinner back at the place and a couple drinks, whatever. Then the next day is at the Temple House, which I mean I don't even know how to describe this place. It's like as big as a basketball arena basically, and all of the walls and ceilings are white canvas. Then they have 3D, like 4K, 3-dimensional projectors hung every corner. So the whole place becomes like this immersive experience, right? So we will turn it into all kinds of stuff, right? Like at one point when the dodgeball challenge happens, all of a sudden we're going to be like in ancient Rome, and it's going to be like gladiator arena time.
Yeah, that's right. I've seen, like I said, I've seen bits and pieces of it, and I kind of wanted you to explain that stuff, but that all looked really cool, like on the last one. So I can imagine, now that you got your second season coming up, like it's gonna be even better.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. We have a lot of stuff planned. I'm building like the soundtrack, right? So you know, when all of a sudden we're flying through space, well, you got to have like the interstellar theme playing, right? Or Star Wars or some shit like that, right? So you know, we're storyboarding a lot of stuff right now, and I mean, it's games, it's you know, networking. So last time around, everything is like bigger and better, right? So last time I got a bunch of temporary tattoos. Well, how do you improve? How do you improve on that? Well, the answer would be real tattoos. So the guy who did all of my tattoos is coming down with me, and we're going to set him up in the corner at the place, and you can sign up, and we're just going to be doing real tattoos in this place.
Man, I remember y'all talking about that because I think it was in a stream or something where I was in the chat and I was like, oh hell yeah, that'd be cool. But that's awesome.
We first talked about that when we had Jeff and Mike on an Instagram live, like
that must have been
ago.
Yeah.
So that was, I believe, when we were announcing that we were going to do it, which was always like, after we did the first one, everybody was like, are you going to do another one? Are you going to do another one? And of course people are now like, when is the third one? When is the third one? And I reply to them. I say, well, I don't know if we're doing a third one. This is an incredible amount of work. It's wild and intense, and but it's all worth it. And I think it's going to be a great time. And I think people who are lucky enough to come with us are going to walk away with something really, really memorable. And a lot of us will be able to live it vicariously through social media because it's such a spectacle that everybody goes live, everybody takes pictures. I mean, it's a reunion of sorts, you know. So there's going to be just so many joyous hugs and, you know, camaraderie and, you know, like bromance stuff going on that you know, a lot of people will be able to live it vicariously as well.
Yeah, I remember. That's how I saw it last time because I guess I hadn't seen too much of it, and all of a sudden, bam! Like everybody's posting about it. I was like, "What is going on over here?" Everybody's like getting all together in Florida and stuff. And then you have, I mean, you're the marketer for them, and you got this whole Squid Game theme advertising. This I saw it more this time. Everybody playing into it. You know, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is, and that's what it is. It's all in good fun. It is a competition. We have a plan for, you know, a winner, let's say. But I mean, it is, you know, it's just going to be a good time for everybody.
Is there like what does the winner get?
Can't say
surprise?
Yet. We're working on that. We're working on that.
All right.
So we're
or how did it work last time?
So I mean, the winner was up for debate. If you ask Aaron Bond and George the plumber who won, you're gonna get a different answer from each of these guys. So, you know, and I think we just had some like little knickknacks and stuff. I think like AirPods or an iPad or something like that last time around. It was like a prize. I got something bigger in mind this time around, and I mean, I'm not 100% sure it's going to happen because other things have to happen first for it to work out. But I mean, I'll just say, I mean, we're hoping that we can bring the winner to our like ribbon cutting at the new factory, which we are.
That'd be dope. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Which is not something that we even know we're doing yet.
Yeah.
But if you know, I mean, there's that's not my call. That, you know, I mean, scheduling and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. It's not a guarantee that that's going to happen. There'll be something fun and interesting for the winner, no matter what. It's my hope that we can do like a factory visit. You know, when we have the big like an open house and a ribbon cutting, let's say. I mean, we're already in there, so it's going to be like a couple months. I mean, you know, down the line. So it's not like exactly the exact ribbon cutting, but I mean, still got that new car smell. You know, and it definitely will. You know, in the spring as well.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, well, that's really cool that whole competition. It's like what I was gonna say is that there's a lot of things that people look forward to. There's the now the tactical award show,
exactly,
AHR Expo, and Squid Games. Those are
that's it, man. That's
and the symposium. I forgot about that one.
Sure.
So there's some good events now for everybody from the trades, specifically HVAC, and we can all meet up and do things
for sure
like that are fun.
Absolutely.
let me see. I don't want to keep you too long. I know we're almost at an hour and a half. I did have a question that I kind of skipped over. I forgot about it.
Sure.
Have you guys ever dabbled in like AI stuff for your marketing?
I've used ChatGPT, but I don't for really just for goofing around. The AI that I've used has been some of the generative fill stuff in some of the Photoshop
Oh,
AI,
that's right. Yeah.
which I find to be okay. It's done an okay job. ChatGPT, in my opinion, is basically just sophisticated plagiarism software. So it's helpful in some respects and also terrible in others. I mean, I played with it in other ways. It had, I mean, if you're following this closely, you're familiar with the term called hallucination. When AI just makes something up, right?
Oh yeah.
So for my particular product, there's some very exact parameters that
Oh
need to
yeah.
be, like the dimensions need to be known, and certain temperature ratings and stuff have to be accurate. So when ChatGPT hallucinates made up specs, that is not good and cannot be used. So I'm not a huge fan of like ChatGPT as it is now. I'll use some of the AI stuff in Photoshop to fill out a picture or something like that, and usually I have to edit it also. So it's nothing's been perfect in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've dabbled. I'm certainly aware of it.
Now I was just wondering if you guys used it for your marketing or anything, because like I've been trying it out too, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that you have about it. That's where I want to use it, is like that generative fill, just to kind of multi-purpose some stuff that I have, or kind of be able to use some stuff that I scrapped or whatever. But I don't know, some people are trying to implement it to the HVAC world now. Like there's other companies that are trying to do it, and I'm like, I don't know if I would trust it with this line of work yet.
It
Like you
depends
said.
on what for.
Yeah.
I'd be very careful, and I'd proofread the shit out of anything that left.
Well, some people are trying to use it like for tech support for young guys, and I'm like, I don't know, like it might lead them down a rabbit hole. It might lead them to some readings that they are not correct. Like you said, there's numbers. We deal with a lot of specific numbers and stuff like that. So I don't know how I feel about it yet.
I would not use it for tech support personally. I mean, RTFM, and
Oh yeah.
until that manual is until ChatGPT can spit you the manual back and
True.
and cite it and be like, well, thank you, Adrian. On page 16 of the Centrotherm manual, it says this and this and this and this, and you can trust it. I mean, then okay, but until then, I don't know about tech support. I mean, to me, it's more like, can you give me 5, article topic ideas for, HVAC and social media or something, and then like 1 out of 5 is like something that I might be able to tweak to my needs.
Yeah, I was actually messing with it before we got on. I was like, let me just see what it tells me, like for podcast specific stuff. And it's like, there might be one in there that I like, but then I got to change it anyway. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
If you use it as like a spark, I mean, that's the kind of thing. I mean, that's what I've done so far, right? I've definitely used it a little bit so I had to write 600 product descriptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
For a PIM system, right? And it gets pretty repetitive after a while. So I was like, here's the one that I wrote. Phrase this differently or paraphrase this differently.
Yeah.
And then like it's like, okay, this sucks, but this is a good verb. Like they picked a good, like this is terrible, but I can use this word, and this word that they came up with, I can redeploy in a way that actually does help me. So
yeah, like I think that's what my girlfriend was trying to get me to use it in that sense, right? If I'm writing up something and then like I need like maybe some different words or something like that, because there's also like I believe it's Grammarly or something.
Yeah.
That helps you, but then like it writes it, and I'm like, I don't know, that doesn't sound like me, or there's different things. I'm like, I still have to go back and mess with it.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, and I think that probably will always be the way. As good as it gets, it's probably best to, the human element. I mean, really, the best computer that still exists is this.
Oh yeah.
The gray matter, right? I mean, so it'll always be, I think, superior in the long run, even if it's not in the short term, if that makes sense.
And you never know, man. The computers might take over the world. There's some people that when I've seen online, there's some people that when they use it, they always put please at the end because they're like, I don't want to piss off the AI.
Yep. I've seen that too.
And we're always conscious about that kind of stuff. All right, man. Like, great conversation. I loved having you on here. Like I said, we're at an hour and a half. So, is there anything you want to point the viewers to, like any
Just
website, social media?
Yeah, I mean, subscribe to our YouTube. We put up all kinds of goofy stuff, and just and follow the Instagram. And if you want to follow my personal Instagram, it's Matthew Funtime on IG. So Centrotherm Ecosystems is the corporate brand. And if you want hot political takes and guitar pedal shit, then go to mine, which is just Matthew Funtime. So.
And I'll link all that in the description. Any information I have on you and Centrotherm, I'll go ahead and put that in there. So I appreciate you for coming on, man, and taking the time to chat with me.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. And I'll see you in less than a week. I assume you'll be wearing a tuxedo, correct?
Oh man, I have a tuxedo shirt.
A tuxedo shirt.
I want to scare Ben with it. I'm gonna put it on.
He will definitely be. I think he's. I'm trying to encourage him to be a little bit stricter with the rules on the dress code. It's like, we got to go black tie, man. I'll be in a tuxedo and a bow tie and the whole 9 yards. My wife's in a gown, so.
Yeah, I got some clothes, and I'm gonna go look around for a few more things. But like, I was like, I'm gonna pick this shirt up, post with it, and kind of scare him a little bit.
He'll love that. He'll love that. He's the best. The awards are awesome. AHR is going to be a good time, and of course Miami looms on the horizon here. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the Centrotherm world as well. So thank you for having me on to chat about that stuff, and we'll get you on the mechanical room at some point in the near future.
Yeah, man. Just let me know. All right, guys, everybody watching and listening, I appreciate you. Enjoy the music by Matt here, and I will see you guys next time.